Coming up on LUTV News, a mother suffers a tragic loss, then used her experience for good, the organization that brought her happiness again. Plus, a St. Charles school says it's never too early to start talking to kids about the dangers of drugs, what they did to encourage students to never even start. And a DEA officer who has dedicated his life to ending an epidemic and helping families in the community. Those stories and more ahead on LUTV News. Welcome to this special edition of LUTV News. I'm Cassie Hall. Today's show will talk about the influx of a drug that is taking a staggering number of lives in our area, heroin. An O'Fallon mother of two, Guy Vigna, was having trouble with her 17-year-old daughter, Nikki. She assumed she was dealing with typical teenage hormones. It had never crossed her mind that her daughter could be a heroin addict. One morning, Guy walked into Nikki's room prepared to argue with her about going to school, but instead, she found her unconscious.
She was on her side and she was frothing at the mouth. She was totally gray. Eyes were rolled back in the back of her head. She was ice cold. And it was just, you're looking like, what in God's name is going on here? And you're screaming because you don't even know what you're looking at. How can I be talking to a kid one day and the next day I come into her room and she looks like this?
Guy didn't understand what was wrong with Nikki. That was until the EMT broke the news.
You're in the back of the room just horrified because you don't even know what's happening. And you're sitting there and he's like, what kind of drugs does your daughter do? And I'm like, I say none because I don't know. I mean, you know, smoking marijuana isn't going to cost. I don't know what this is. I don't even know if she really wasn't even one that would talk about smoking weed a lot, you know, or really was kind of more vehemently opposed to that. So, and I'm like, she doesn't do any drugs. And he's like, your daughter's a heroin addict.
Nikki's life was saved that day, but her battle with heroin was just beginning.
You know something is different, something is going on and something is different, but you don't know what it is.
Guy said from that point on, her family was on the roller coaster from hell, and all she wanted to do was get the hell off.
The destruction of watching your child absolutely self-destruct in front of you, and you cannot fix it. And not only is the self-destruction on her, it's your whole family.
Guy finally realized that her daughter's addiction was a disease that Nikki would have to fight for the rest of her life.
It was never going to let her go. It never was going to. It was going to be forever. It was going to forever, forever, forever.
Guy later found out that Nikki befriended a co-worker at the restaurant where she worked. He was a heroin user. Nikki took Oxycontin with him until one day he convinced her to inject heroin. Guy never thought she would have a child die from a heroin overdose. She knew that if it happened to her, it could happen to anyone. At that point, she made the decision to do everything she could to keep another family from growing through what she did.
You know, but then we did all that, and then, but I thought I would.
Walking for Wellness started as just that, Guy Vigna taking walks around her neighborhood. After losing her 20-year-old daughter, Nikki, to a heroin overdose, Guy wasn't sure how to move forward with her life.
It's just a walk, you know, and then the walks led to meeting families who had lost children.
She had no idea that first walk was the start of her not-for-profit organization, Walking for Wellness.
The walks are to really generate education, to generate awareness, but also to really provide families a venue to be able to come to when they've lost a child or a loved one or a sibling or a brother, to be able to talk to other families, for people that have current users, to talk to people that come there who are in recovery.
But Walking for Wellness members don't just do walks. They travel all around the Metro St. Louis area giving education presentations, helping families who have lost loved ones, and working with law enforcement to help stop heroin.
Their monthly Life After Loss meetings. We are doing school educational programs. We started getting requests from the school. Will you come to the school and talk about what's going on with the walks, why you do this? We've paired up with the DEA right now, Strategy 360.
Samantha Dickman has been a part of Walking for Wellness since the start. When addicts go into treatment, Samantha and other members will meet with the family to talk to them before they visit the addict for the first time.
It's the first time that they're going to see their addict since they've been in treatment, so we kind of tell them, like, you know, this is where your addict is at now, and this is, you know, the things you're going to see about them. Like, you're going to see the old them again. you're going to see that spark in them, that light in them again.
Samantha said they also talk to families about the hard stuff that has to be talked about when dealing with a heroin addict, like how they want to be buried or whether or not they have life insurance.
Some people they'll come up, they'll thank you for being there, and other times you can just see that look of defeat.
Walking for Wellness is now active in 9 different cities, and you can reach any of them on their Facebook page at facebook.com/stopheroin. A Warrenton mother left for work one day with a healthy 17-year-old son. Shortly after, Kelly Clodfelter got a call saying her son was in the hospital. Jordan Lunsford tried heroin for the first time that day. When Jordan became unresponsive, the people he was with loaded him up and drove more than 20 miles and dropped him off at a hospital. It took 40 minutes for doctors to get Jordan to breathe again, but by then he was already brain dead. Kelly said her small community of Warrenton suffered 6 more overdose deaths within a year of Jordan's. After losing her son to heroin overdose, Kelly also decided she would help her community stop heroin. That's when she opened Jordan's Place. Jordan's Place is a not-for-profit teen hangout. Located in Warrenton, Kelly said she opened the safe haven in a place she knew kids could walk to, 1 block away from where Jordan overdosed. Inside, kids will find a pool table, a PlayStation 4, basketball, and flat-screen TVs. The mission of Jordan's Place is to give kids a place to hang out and have fun without facing the pressures of drugs or alcohol. St. Charles County is making an effort to stop the use of heroin by convincing kids to never even start. A St. Charles County initiative called CRUSH, or Community Resources United to Stop Heroin, took their message to Orchard Farm Middle on Thursday. The day consisted of presentations and activities designed to convince kids that no good can come out of doing drugs. The kids heard from a DEA officer, a recovering addict, and had a class on the dangers of prescription drugs.
Just knowing the dangers of drug use and what it could potentially do to them, and hopefully they leave knowing that the choice to make is to not do drugs, and hopefully what they hear and see today helps them make those choices.
Straight ahead on LUTV News, a DEA officer who has personally felt the effects of heroin. See how he has dedicated his life to fighting the epidemic.